Toronto's condo market, some of the incentives that the builders are offering these days, this puts you in a driver's seat. Why is this happening? Prices going up. Finally, a market where you can take your time, negotiate, and buy smart. We keep getting this question, Nima, what's going on with Toronto's condo market? Is it crashing? Is now finally the time to buy? And here's the truth, the condo market isn't crashing, it's only correcting. And for the first time in almost a decade, we're in a real buyer's market. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's causing it, what the numbers say, and what you should do or you shouldn't heading into 2026 and 2027. Let's go. Let's start with some facts. According to Urban Nation, which is a publication that tracks condo market, by mid-2025 in GTA, we had a record inventory of unsold condos by developers that were being held, and that number was sitting at 24,000 units. That coupled with cancellation, assignments, and the resale market pushed the inventory of the condos to the highest level we've seen in the last 30 years. So the reason for the slowdown in the condo market isn't mysterious, it's simple math. What happened in the 2022 was that the lending rates were so cheap. The overnight lending rate was around 0.25%. Fast forward towards the end of 2022, we had rates rising so much so that in November they raised the rates by 1% in one take. In 2023, the overnight lending rate was as high as 5%, with most banks lending around 6%. So you could see how that could affect affordability. Now going back to someone purchasing a condo, if someone was purchasing a condo, let's just say at $700,000 in 2022, the same person, assuming having the same income, would probably only get approved for a condo for $550,000 to $600,000. So that really can cause an issue in the market when person selling the condo has to take a haircut on the price. Now they want to upgrade, so their affordability is also going to be affected. That also coupled with people purchasing pre-construction back in 2020-21 when the lending rates were cheap. Now come 2024 and 5, then the lending rates are much higher and people cannot afford the same condos. So what they do, they come back, put the units on assignment trying to sell it. So not only we have people that bought in the resale market that cannot afford the same mortgage rates, we have people that bought pre-construction and they need to assign their units. So a lot of the data that we see right now in the market is on the resale market. We see how many condos are up for sale and how many of them sold. What we don't see is the assignment market, which is not listed on MLS, and there's no actual record of how many listings there is. Us being in the industry, we know that not only we have about 7 months of inventory in the condo market, we have roughly around 5 to 7 months of inventory also in the assignment market, and not a lot of buyers. So that is what's causing the ripple effect in the condo market and the prices. How do these numbers show up in the stats? So let's look at it. Right now, year over year, the sales are up by about 5.5%, but the condo average price has dropped by 4%. Looking at the peak of the market in 2025, in most areas, the condos are down by about 7 to 8%. So why is this happening? Main reason for the price to come down is month of inventory. So how do we calculate the months of inventory? Number of active listings on the market divided by the sales that happened in the last month. Right now, the active inventory is so high up that we're sitting at around 7 months of inventory for condos, not to mention the assignment market. So when we're anywhere north of 6 months of inventory, that becomes pure buyer market territory, and there's a downward pressure on the prices. So this is normal to see in a market like this, that we see prices for condos continue to drop. With about 31,000 condos set for occupancy only in 2025 and another 22,000 coming for occupancy in 2026, we don't see a sight of relief for the condo market. And probably going forward for the next 12 months, we could see downward pressure on majority of the condo markets. So what does a buyer market really mean? As a buyer, what you need to know is that the buyer market will give you more negotiation power, more room for you to breathe in terms of having your conditions, which is super crucial if you're a first-time home buyer. You can go about the process so much more relaxed. You can have your condition for status certificate, you can have your condition for your financing and inspection. And at the end of it, if you need more time, you can negotiate more time for your conditions. If you're buying a unit from a builder at a pre-construction stage, it also provides you an opportunity to not only negotiate the price, get more incentives from the builders. Some of the incentives that the builders are offering these days to people that are purchasing pre-con is cap development charges, free upgrades. Some of them are even going as far as waiving their occupancy fees, and more incentives in terms of giving you free lockers, reduced price on parking, and much more. So this puts you in a driver's seat when going to purchase a condo. What's going to happen next? So as I mentioned, in 2025 we had a record number of completions and occupancies, well over 30,000. In 2022 we're going to have about 22,000, but rolling into 2027 this number drastically reduces to below 8,000 units, and in 2028 that number is in the low thousands. So with that being said, what we can expect in the condo market in the next 12 months is the same of what's happening right now. There could be downward pressure on the prices, but going into 2027, 2028, this trend could slow down and we could slowly see prices going up. Will it happen in 2027? No one knows. But one thing for sure is that the supply is going to be lower, definitely lower in 2028 and 2029. And if the demand rises as well, then this whole scenario is going to go upside down and there will be an upside pressure on the prices. So if you're buying a condo, what are the few points you need to consider? First things first, location. That's one thing you cannot change. You might be able to change the finishes in the unit or slightly alter the layout, but the location will remain. You need to figure out the best location for you and find out from your realtor if that location has potential for future growth. Number two, find out who the builder is, find out who the property management is, because these things will affect your resale value. Number three, if you're buying anything, make sure you're not stretching your budget so much, because if you were to sell in a short period of time, let's say 2 or 3 years, and if the market is not good or the rates have gone up, that you have to sell in a short period, you may have to sell below technical value, and that could affect your bottom line. Last but not least, also make sure you're negotiating the best price possible. Use your realtor's knowledge to ensure you're getting the best price per square foot and the best terms for your situation. So let's say if you're a seller, whether it's your own property or you're an investor, you need to take into consideration a few points when you're selling. One, price right. In this market, you cannot afford to price higher what the actual value is. Why? People that are out there looking, they have so many options that if you're mispriced, they won't even consider looking at your property. So you need to not only price it right, you need to present the unit well. What does that mean? It means you need to do the right staging, you need to do the right presentation, and you need to do the right marketing. As an example, if you're not staged properly, you will not have proper photos to entice people to even come take a look at your property. So that would be your first step. The second step is if you have the right pictures and the staging, if you're not marketing it properly to get it exposed to as many people as possible that are looking for that type of property, you will not get the showings you need to get the offer. So it all works in conjunction to each other. So you need to consult your realtor to make sure all these little components are working together to ensure the best exposure for your condo and ultimately getting the best offer for your property. So the condo market isn't broken. it's normalizing. For buyers, it's finally a market where you can take your time, negotiate, and buy smart. For sellers, a strategy matters more than ever. If you like to book a call with me to find out more information about any property, get real numbers, real strategy, I would be more than happy to help you. My name is Nima Khadem, and this is your inside look at Toronto real estate. Facts only.